Visa plans to link your biometric identity directly to each online payment. The Trump administration, they're making an aggressive move to tag and track every traveler who comes in and out of the country by subjecting them to biometric face scans. And Brazil launches one of the world's most repressive AI-powered online tracking programs, threatening to arrest anyone who makes statements deemed disrespectful to LGBTQs. Reclaim the Net reports that biometric verification is becoming a defining feature of how payments are made, as financial institutions work to link customers' identities directly to every transaction. In the latest move reflecting that trend, Visa has partnered with digital identity platform. It's called Proof. Collaboration, well, it merges Proof's identity technology with Visa's global network, apparently aiming to bring the same level of so-called trust to online commerce that EMV chips provided for physical credit cards. Daniel Sanford, he's Senior VP of Global Products and Initiatives at Visa. He said, quote, "Trusted digital identity is the next frontier for enabling secure commerce. We're connecting Visa's global network and payments innovations with Proof's platform to fundamentally transform how identity is used in all types of transactions," end quote. Proof's system, it verifies users by combining biometrics, cryptographic signatures, and AI-driven fraud detection before a payment is even processed. Its certified product, well, it acts as a reusable identity credential, described as the EMV chip for digital identity. CEO and founder Pat Kinzel, he says Certify can stop deep fakes, impersonation, and account takeovers while supporting account recovery. He adds that the cryptographic protections within Certify cannot be forged by generative AI. The broader movement toward biometric linked payments, well, it is a growing technological and social development. Financial institutions, technology firms, and governments are aligning around the idea that anonymity online is an obstacle to security and compliance. The idea driving this change, of course, is that verified digital identities can reduce fraud, prevent money laundering, and make global commerce more efficient. The same systems that provide convenience and protection also consolidate greater control over personal data. This change, well, it reaches beyond banking. Biometric and digital ID systems are being connected to healthcare access, air travel, and social media verification in some regions. Supporters view this as a necessary step toward a safer digital economy, but it will reduce one of the central freedoms of the internet, the ability to act, speak, or transact without constant observation. In the name of fighting so-called disinformation, the government of Brazil has unveiled a sweeping new online tracking system that will identify dissenters and prosecute those caught using speech that is deemed disrespectful to sexual minorities. That's what Slay News notes. According to critics that are calling Brazil's new AI-powered system one of the most dangerous censorship tools in the Western Hemisphere. Project, it's designed to pinpoint, monitor, track, and then criminally prosecute citizens who question government narratives about gender, about the LGBTQ agenda, and other favored groups. It's being branded as, quote, platform of respect, end quote. That's what the initiative was called, and it was launched by Brazil's Ministry of Human Rights, all in partnership with the NGO National LGBTQI+ Alliance. It's funded with $56,000 in taxpayer money through a parliamentary amendment from Erica Hilton, a self-identified transgender politician. The government, well, they claim the program will combat what they call disrespect, hate speech, and disinformation. But free speech advocates, they warn it's actually a direct attack on dissent. The scheme, it creates a surveillance network that criminalizes speech and thought that's not aligned with state-sanctioned ideology. At the center of the system, well, there's artificial intelligence. It's a program named Aletheia. And according to the website, Aletheia is designed to, quote, track the origin of disinformation, report its impact, and enable accountability for authors and disseminators, end quote. In practice, the AI is being used to flag citizens, who allegedly misgender public figures or make statements that are contradicting gender ideology. Now, once flagged, I guess you get a knock on the door from the Brazilian government's thought police. It's really quite sinister, isn't it? The Department of Homeland Security published its final rule in the Federal Registry last week, expanding the use of digital biometrics at the nation's borders. In the process, the government formalized what had been years in the making, which is a full-scale biometric tracking system to photograph and monitor every non-citizen who enters or leaves the U.S. And it admits many citizens will get caught up in the system. If Joe Biden had implemented such an Orwellian system, conservatives, they would have been screaming from the rafters. The measure, it takes effect on December 26th, and it authorizes Custom and Border Protection to photograph all aliens at all ports of entry and departure and, quote, any other point of departure, end quote. That's according to the Biometric website. Well, CBP and the Department of Homeland Security, they're calling it a, quote, operational modernization, end quote. Civil liberties groups, they're calling it a sweeping expansion of government surveillance. Regardless of the label, it completes the long-delayed biometric entry-exit system that Congress first ordered back in 1996 and repeatedly demanded after the terrorist attack of September 11th. Now, the new rule, it removes prior pilot limits and age exemptions, and thus it's paving the way, listen now, for a nationwide network of facial recognition checkpoints at every border interface. That's what the agency really wants. And this will not just be for aliens. Eventually, it will be for everyone. They will know all your movements coming and going, not only inside the country, but when you leave and when you come back. Back till now, CBP's biometric operations, they've been patchwork. At airports, the agency's got something called Simplified Arrival. It's a program. And it already photographs nearly every foreign traveler upon entry. And it compares it to a live image against their passport and their visa databases. But exits, that was another story. Land and sea departures, they were largely unmonitored. And air exit facial scanners, they existed only at a handful of airports. But this new regulation, it ends that fragmentation. And it's empowering CBP to photograph all so-called non-citizens leaving the country. But by eliminating old limits, such as a 15 airport gap and an age exemption for those under 14 and over 79, the new rules, they remove the last formal barriers to what's going to be universal coverage. And again, you think, that's great. All these folks that are aliens should be photographed coming and going. Okay. But do you understand? That's how they started. Eventually, it will track all of us. In fact, DHS says that the expansion is going to strengthen the border security. They claim it's going to reduce visa overstays and close information gaps in identifying those who enter and fail to leave when required. And then, of course, every image is captured under the new system, and it feeds into their traveler verification system, which is a massive cloud-based facial recognition architecture that apparently cross-checks live photos against government databases. But when it verifies a traveler's identity, it then transmits the result to a Border Patrol officer's screen, and it stores that image, and it matches the data. Now, again, this is for non-citizens, and those images can be retained for up to 75 years in the DHS Central Biometric Repository. The new rule, it states this, that the DHS, quote, may require an alien to be photographed when departing the United States to determine the alien's identity or for other lawful purposes, end quote. Phrasing gives the government extraordinary latitude in deciding where and how those photographs are taken. In practice, the cameras will capture faces wherever CBP has an operational presence. At, passport control booths, boarding gates, vehicle lanes, pedestrian crossings, cruise terminals, and even small private docks. The rule, it applies supposedly to, quote, aliens, end quote. But are you ready? The cameras do not distinguish citizens from non-citizens in real time. You knew there to be a catch, right? You knew I was going somewhere. Yeah. It's all being done under the guise of aliens, but it's capturing everybody's information. At airports, and land ports, you have these shared cameras and these photographs being taken of both citizens and non-citizens. So here's my take. This is a monster in the making. We've already seen earlier in this broadcast how the same principle of biometric digitized IDs is being applied to payment systems, well, like Visa. The Nazis, they could have only dreamed of a Checkpoint Charlie system that's this pervasive and, quote, efficient, end quote. We need more people like, Rand Paul in the Senate. People that, and I don't agree with Rand Paul in everything, but at least he understands civil liberties, the dangers of big government, overreach. We need less people like Lindsey Graham. You see, what we're seeing here is all part of a plan to limit our freedom, not only of speech and of transaction, but of movement, under what I think literally is the coming Antichrist beast system. It's not here yet. Don't worry. When it comes, you'll know it. You don't have to worry you're going to take the mark without knowing it and be doomed to hell. You'll know it. I'm not planning on being here when that happens, and I think a lot of you aren't either. But trust me, this is laying the acceptance, normalization, and of course the technology that will be eventually a system that is far more powerful and pervasive than what we're discussing tonight. But it is being built.